Hi, this is like intro for this episode that is gonna be interesting. It's gonna really be interesting, especially when you hear who's the guest. And the guest is Dragan Petric, who is the guy who is working for the last 24 years, surrounded by technology. He's working in a magazine called Bug, B-U-G, in short. So you can actually check all the links that we're gonna post. But what you need to know that this guy was here, well, for 24 years, man. People, women, come on, that's like huge. Even before Google, Facebook. So he saw all that coming about, and he will talk about his experience, and he will talk about not just about that, but actually what he learned and what he saw in all these years and what he created. And he created a lot. He created Bug Future Show that's soon. Also, he created a startup competition called Knockout. It's kind of a cool competition. He will talk about the people who were there last year, winners, this year, winners, well, this year, like 2020. So it's gonna be interesting. I hope you will listen and watch if you're watching this on YouTube, and share, subscribe, do all kind of stuff, and just follow all the stuff there, because you know I cannot just do justice, let's say justice, just to talk about the guy and what he done. He will say much more in the talk that we're gonna have right now. So stay tuned, as they say, and listen on. Hi, hello. It's morning, it's day, it's actually today. Let's just say it like that. We today have our guest. It's a guy. It's a guy, doctor. It says here in the name, if you can see it here. Dragan, hi, how are you?
Hi,
Yeah.
how are you?
He has a hoodie right now. Now
Yeah.
we are in danger.
No.
We can read anybody resume right now, thanks to the online digital age on LinkedIn. So I will not go through all your accomplishments or what you wrote there. You know, there are
Yeah.
people there that are, you know, maybe lying, but I read something, and that's
Because
like
everyone is lying on LinkedIn.
everybody's lying everywhere. You know how
Yeah,
it
okay.
is right now. You
Especially
know,
on LinkedIn.
especially on LinkedIn, not on Facebook. Facebook is fine. So I read this and I was like baffled when I read this. No, I was journalist, I was radio host or something like that. So I read like 24 years. I'm not going, maybe I've read it wrong. Maybe you wrote it wrong. Not 2.4, it's 24 years in Bug, which is like a magazine for all us enthusiasts in technology. Like, I have to ask if that is true, and if that is true, what in heaven's name one can do in one place? And you're not in politics, so you know, what are you doing there?
Yeah. So it really is true. It's 24 years.
Oh,
And the magazine is now 28 years. So it's much older than me, 3 years older than me. So yes, I started while I was studying mathematics. I started cooperating with Bug magazine as a contributing editor. I was reviewing, I don't know, shareware applications and software and some easygoing hardware. And what you can do in 24 years is a lot. It's actually 25 now, I think it will be.
You need to change that on LinkedIn.
Just 2 months. Yeah, but not yet. In 2 months, it will be quarter of the century. Unbelievable, yeah. So you can do a lot besides writing like hundreds or let's say thousands of articles, reviews, reports, interviews, and other forms of articles. So what I do now is mainly I organize tech events. I travel a lot or at least I traveled a lot until recently to huge tech events across the world. And I do my TV show, which we produce together with N1 television here in Croatia. So this is mainly what I do today.
Okay, so I've been buying this kind of magazine,
Yeah.
when I was young, and I wasn't buying some other magazines, right? So there is always technical stuff there, fun stuff there, especially if you want to learn something, if you want to have fun with something. So in a way, you are so up and close with technology all the time. And you see all these interesting kinds of ideas and advancements, let's say it like that. Maybe before we all, casual readers or readers, avid readers at all, you visit all, you said you travel a lot. So I guess you have, and I know that you have go to the, all these kind of interesting conferences. So there is this kind of thing that you said that you are organizing, you're part of, and one thing that you're a part of that's interesting here in Croatia, especially for startups, is idea knockout. Is that something that came naturally from all that kind of experience, or what's the story here?
So idea knockout is actually a result of all those travels. So the best part of my job, of any tech journalist's job in the world, is being able to travel around the world and witness new technologies, new gadgets, new achievements in tech among first ones in the world. One of the best places where you can experience something like that is CES, so the biggest tech show in the world, which happens every January in Las Vegas. It has tradition of, I think, over 50 years. And this is actually not only just the biggest technology trade show in the world, it's also the biggest startup exhibition in the world, with more than, I think, 1,200 startups from all over the world exhibiting each year during the whole event. So it means 5 years, you have 5 days during the event, you have your booth there and you present your idea or your product or whatever you do. If you're a startup, to investors, to press people from all over the world. So while I was traveling to CES, I did it now for 12 years in a row. So after maybe 4 or 5 years, I was in love with CES. I'm still in love with CES, because it's the best of technology that you can experience in one segment of time. In, let's say, 5 days, you are there and you are living your dreams, your wet dreams, your wet tech dreams. And I thought this is something that the Croatian startups should experience as well. Not only Croatian journalists, tech journalists, but also Croatian startups. So I became friends with the organizers of CES, and during our drinks and dinners and talks in Las Vegas, we came up with the idea to organize a competition, startup competition here in Croatia, and to award one startup, the best startup at this competition, with travel to Las Vegas. So both accommodation and airfare is paid, but also exhibiting booth paid for the winning startup. And this is how Idea Knockout was launched 7 years ago, and we had it 7 times so far. So my idea of showing CES to young entrepreneurs, to startups in Croatia, really came true. And so 6 startups so far traveled free of charge to Las Vegas and exhibited free of charge at CES.
And the last one, not the last one because it was online, right? But the last one that you actually took there to Las Vegas, which was a little bit of an exploding one, a little bit of tanks, a little bit of weaponized one. How did that go?
So the last one that traveled to Las Vegas, this was in January 2020. So I'm one of the luckiest people in the world who can say I traveled to another continent across the Atlantic in 2020.
Yeah,
it actually happened in January.
yeah. So
This is why.
it was like a one hellish of a year, 2020, right?
Yeah.
And we have like this year bombarded with all kind of news stuff. People will not go
Yes.
to the bad place right now, but you actually you actually took tanks from Croatia
Yes.
to America, not attacking anybody. Just
Yes, of course. Yeah. But the president of United States at that time, he's pretty much in favor of tanks, so this wasn't that much of a problem to show tanks in
okay, so you
America.
didn't have problem on the border. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, no problems at all. So the name of the startup is Iron Bull, and they do little toy tanks. It's actually they're not that little. They are, let's say, I don't know if I can show it in the screen, but let's say the size of your screen of computer monitor, let's say that size of tanks. And they are building like playgrounds where you can play World of Tanks in real life in 3D. So you shoot another tank by controlling it with the controller that has screen and joysticks, and another tank has sensors which can sensor if they got hit, and it's actually a lot of fun, and like a tank toys for adults.
Yeah,
Very fun and very interesting startup, and they really attract a lot of attention at CES in Las Vegas.
If you bring a tank to the sword fight.
Yes.
So I just want to say, like, this is really interesting because you took this kind of a interesting startup, interesting thing that's actually like a play thing for grown-ups to play. Of course, there will be some, I guess, parental advisory there. I hope so. So
you have to ask the guys from Iron Bull that.
Yeah. I got them in, I'm gonna ask them. So it's kind of a interesting thing to go and show that on that kind of event, and that was 2020 January. This January, that event was, of course, online, and this has some kind of a repercussion, some kind of also on the future, on the Bug Future Show, which is also a part of your doing. I was on the last one, and also the Iron Ball with all their little tanks were there. But what is the Bug Future Show? It connects you with your 24, almost 25 years in the bug and your experience on CES and Las Vegas. Do you bring Las Vegas here in Croatia, or how does that work?
We usually do, because Bug Future Show also started 7 years ago, so exactly the same year when we launched Idea Knockout. So during every Bug Future Show, we do have guys that traveled to Las Vegas on stage, telling people what it was like to see America, to see CES, to show their product, their idea to the world. And this usually is the most fun part of Bug Future Show every year. This year it will be different because CES was all digital, it was online. Bug Future Show will be on 4th of February, all digital and online, and nobody unfortunately traveled to Las Vegas because our last Idea Knockout winners, we didn't give them the award that can't be consumed. So the award was a trip to Berlin, to IFA. This is the biggest European tech show, and it will be held with real people in September this year. So we wanted to award the startup with real opportunity to show their idea to the world. So this is why we chose Berlin this time. I don't know if we will continue with Berlin, or if we will go back to Las Vegas, or if we will be awarding 2 startups, one with trip to Berlin, another with trip to Las Vegas. Everything depends on what this pandemic will look like during next several months. But that's it. That's it about CES connection with Bug Future Show. This year we don't have CES connected with Bug Future Show, but Bug Future Show will be show. It will be really different. It will be something very special. It will be the biggest one. It will be most spectacular one, and everyone will be able to watch it only online, but it will be different than any conference you ever witnessed online, and it will be different than any content you ever witnessed on your screen. So this is why I would like to invite everyone to experience a different day in their lives, to have something to change their routine.
To take a day off, like, you know,
Yeah,
from all the
to take a
meetings
day
and
off.
everything. Yeah.
Yes,
And
we will have like non-stop program. Nobody tried it so far, so we will start at 10 a.m. without any pause, without any delays. We will last until, I don't know, maybe 8 p.m. So like 10 hours of program without any stopping, non-stop program. So arm yourself with coffee, with beer, with a lot of food, with Volt, Bolt, Pauza, whatever is your favorite delivery service, and enjoy the whole day. It will be very different than anything you ever experienced.
and I think that, like, most of people were like, oh, I don't know, I cannot, you know, spend so much time, you know. But then again, due to this pandemic, many people were like binge watching stuff on Netflix or
Yes.
whatnot. And I
Oh,
think that
yeah,
this
I
will
did it.
be,
Yeah.
yeah, well, you know, who didn't?
Yeah.
Those startups in online streaming space really took off.
Yeah. So you can take a day off and binge watch Bug Future Show.
Exactly.
It will be fun. It will be overdose of technology.
Beautiful. And that's like,
And of course, we will present the 3 best startups from Idea Knockout, which we held in September in 2020. Among them, of course, the winning one that will be traveling to Berlin this September to be exhibited at IFA.
beautiful. Now, you didn't mention much startups right now by name in these, which you meant all these years, but you did meet all of them. You've been on of course, at the Knockout and Bug Future Show, and they were there. But as I can see, and people listening or watching this, they now see that the Croatian startups are not just in this kind of Croatian space. They went and exhibit on um, like big conference, big show in Las Vegas, which, like Las Vegas, that's a big show by itself, right? And now you're mentioning the Berlin and so on. So when you saw all those startups presenting there, not just the winners, but everybody,
Yeah.
do you see them able to compete, or do you see them able to work in the space they were working? Because they're not all startups are tech startups, like Iron Bull that you just mentioned is like a toy, like, let's say a toy. It's not just like a toy. But do you see them still working? Do you see still, because you're in the tech space, you cover them in the bug or whatnot? Do you see them here living? You know, because startup space. Sorry, I'm just doing like this, maybe a longer monologue right now. But you know, startup space is like something that 9 startups will fail, right?
Yeah.
So you know, in your opinion, how they are faring? Are they still alive and kicking, or many of
Yeah.
them just, you know?
I would say that this number you mentioned, 9 out of 10 fail. I would say that happened with competitors from Idea Knockout. So far I've had like 120 20 something startups pitched in front of me while I was one of the members of the jury at Idea Knockout. So let's say around 15 or 20 startups each year. And today, what I can see is about, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 of those startups are still alive, and maybe only 10 of them are really companies, will not fail during next couple of years. So yes, the average is same here in Croatia as anywhere else. 9 out of 10 will fail, and the jury of Idea Knockout was really good in guessing who will be able to sustain on the market. And actually all the winners so far are still existing, and they are developing their businesses quite successfully.
Excellent. That's good to hear. But what I want to ask is something that people do not maybe understand about the startups, because startups are here to, quickly they come up with the idea, they work on it, maybe get some kind of award, like through the Idea Knockout, so they can use the money and use it to develop a product. But they also can see that something is not working, so they can pivot to something else. They can change what they're doing. And you are in this space for this long. Do you see startups, companies doing this?
Yes, of course. So, for example, the guys that won during our first competition, during first Idea Knockout, they were called DYT. Today, it's a company called Delta Reality, and they pivoted their business to something that really brings money. Their original idea, which they presented at CES 7 years ago, was something completely different from what they do today, but the basic technology which they developed is the same. So they are actually building virtual reality worlds and virtual reality and augmented reality content. What they started with was something completely different. So they developed software which you can control animated characters with your body in front of the camera. So you move your hand or head or something, whatever, you dance or you jump or do some, I don't know, dirty or sexual things, and drone turtle or drone monster or drone dinosaur will do the same on your screen. So that was the original idea. Today, as I said, they develop content for augmented reality and virtual reality content.
Cool. And that's something that I want to through this podcast, through this video podcast, tell people that it's not a problem if you start with something. It's a problem if you do not see that something is not working and you don't do anything about it. It's not a shame to say, because we see that happening in Silicon Valley. We see that happening in the world. But I think here in Croatia, we are still not just in Croatia, this is kind of a space here, that we are still afraid of a failure, afraid of working on okay, this doesn't work, let's try something else. But it's still the same people, it's still the same team, because that's the core, right? And I think that's interesting to say from someone like yourself who's seen that, and it's in this kind of a space for all this long. So you said about the jury, for like those people, not just people from the street. There are people from VCs and people like that. Do you want to have kind of say something about that a little bit?
So the jury is usually, we have around 9-10 people in jury at Idea Knockout. Usually we don't have VCs, but we do have people who can see if you are fit for worldwide success. If you are fit for showing your idea to the world at such a huge stage as CES. So people from corporations, from Croatian Telecom, from, I don't know, huge banks like Zagrebačka Banka or something like that, because they have experience with funding, with running businesses. Usually we have in jury the winners of last year's competition. They usually then judge competitors next year, because they gained valuable experience by traveling to United States and by exhibiting at CES. Because, as you said, it's hard for many startups to recognize the idea that will fail. They're all in love with their ideas, they all believe in their ideas, but the lack of experience makes that love blind. And many of them maybe can see that idea will fail, but they don't want to admit. So gaining experience in this business, in tech, usually makes your head a bit more clear, a little bit less in love with your idea. And those who gain this kind of experience, they usually pivot their ideas if they need to, if their business is not good enough to succeed as it was imagined at the beginning.
And I just love this idea to have, like, startups from before to judge, and companies that are like big companies to have their influence on this, because people who are in the business longer or have like kind of a benefit of knowledge can really help some little guy. Because I'm a co-owner of a startup, when you go to speak with people, you're like, oh yeah, this is like, and then you get hit by like, okay, but how you do this? And then like, well, okay, I need to think about that a little bit more. Okay, let me just take a pen. You said what? And things like that. It clicks there, and that's beautiful. And Croatia is a country that we had that people like Nikola Tesla hails from, Penkalo, who invented pen. Right.
Yeah.
We have in Maglica, who invented the Meglite. It's a better lamp, but it's really cool. It's used worldwide right now, and people maybe even don't know that's coming from guy from Croatia. So we have lots of people from here coming all the way through the world right now, and maybe this 2020. As it was a pandemic year, it was a bad year. But for Croatian startups and companies, it was a little bit interesting, because we had like Infobip or big
the most successful year for Croatian tech.
Pro team, you have like this kind of companies that people didn't even maybe heard even in Croatia that they're from here, right? Working all over the place, like what you just said, most successful year, because it's interesting. And we from Croatia also, we have like fingerprints, then democracy coming from Dubrovnik, even vampires in modern literature and something like that. But I think the Croatian entrepreneur is still a little bit afraid to play on the big ground, on the worldwide ground. Do you think there's like kind of a mental blockage, or do we still need to work on that, or we are there? What do you think?
What I saw during judging idea knockout pitches is that many young people in Croatia are afraid of the award, afraid of wow, what if I win and then I have really to travel to America? Fuck, they're afraid of it.
Okay, so they wanna put me on the plane, play me the hotel, and I need to go there, present the idea that I'm working on. My God, what I'm gonna do with that?
Yes.
Is that
they're
the
really
problem?
afraid of it. They are not afraid of doing that here in Croatia in front of big CEOs from Croatian corporations and startups and companies, but they are really afraid of traveling to United States and do it on the global stage. I don't know why is that so, but what I can guess is their lack of travel. What I think their lack of travel experience. What I think every parent should do is travel as much as he can with his kids during their childhood, because this is what my parents did with me. I really traveled. I wouldn't say much, but I saw, I don't know, Austria, Italy, whatever, those countries around Croatia, and that made me fall in love with travel. And when I grew up, I started to travel a lot, and I used my job as my excuse to travel a lot. I'm traveling really as much as I can, and this is what made me, I don't know, being not afraid of seeing foreign countries, of traveling to another part of the globe. And this is what I can notice, that today's young people are afraid of. They're afraid of sitting in a plane for 12 hours and being in America for 10 days and then coming back. This is like something that can't happen to me. I can't do it. I've never traveled to, I don't know, London, not to mention Las Vegas or across the Atlantic. So I think young people should travel more, and that will make them be more brave to show their ideas to the world and to travel to the world and to succeed in on global stage. If you're asking me for some particular people in Croatia that have that nerve in them, who on our tech scene that I can see can play with the big guys that are, in my opinion, au pari with I don't know, Elon Musk and other big guys in Silicon Valley. Maybe three of them. I would mention Damir Sabol, the founder of Photomat, Mate Rimac, of course. This year will be his most successful year, I'm sure about it. He will do great things now in 2021. And third, this is not only one guy, this is the entire startup, Orca from Osijek. Yeah. I think their founders, so Ivan Jelušić, Srđan Kovačević, and Vlatko Matević, all three of them are really guys that can play with big guys in Silicon Valley, and I see them as very, very successful tech company on global stage.
Beautiful. I just love how you said that, because I think that young people need to hear this here. Not just young people, because people are forgetting that entrepreneurs or startup founders in the world are not just young people. There are people even in their 60s starting companies from ground up, doing something, and they do not need to be afraid of failing, except of being afraid of failing in their mind. That's my opinion, because there are companies that fail 7 times, or like Uber. The guy didn't invent Uber as his first startup. It was his, I don't know, 5th or something. Even here in Slovenia, Outfit 7 with his talking Tom, right? So beautiful how you said that, because we have people already now, not just 3 people, not just 1 people, that there is even a company that you mentioned with the 3 co-founders that are possibly on that level. Not just possible, they are on that level. Let's say it like that.
Yeah.
So let's wrap up this a little bit right now. And do you have a kind of a special message that you want to say to all entrepreneurs here in Croatia, starting in the anyway? Mm-hmm. Oh, just one question before that. Yeah. Is everybody for a startup? This I have this kind of a question that I like to probe people with, because I don't think that everybody is for the startup, and that's not to be taking a negative look at it, because maybe there is a pressure right now. You're so smart, you should start a startup.
No.
You have to have a mindset, mind health, and everything because when I go home, my wife and my little 2.5-year toddler craving attention, and I'm thinking about stuff about startup. You have to have focus on the stuff in life, right? And not everybody is for that.
No, not everybody. I would say that extrovert people are much more capable of having startup than introvert people, because if you wish your startup to succeed, you should network a lot. You should not be afraid of media. You should be used to media exposure. You should gain new friends every day. You should have a huge tolerance to Zooming and Skyping and Teamsing, and this is what introvert people can't do. So if you are introvert but smart, then you can be developer working for some developing agency or company, or have your own studio. But if you're extrovert, this is when you should be starting a company or trying to become an entrepreneur, or have your idea convert to money-making machine or something like that. So not anyone is for startup. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. So will that be a final word, or you have something like you want to wrap up this?
Some advice. You asked me
advice,
about the
yeah.
advice. Yeah. So I mentioned traveling. So
yeah. Which I'm gonna low key on this, but traveling right now, you may refers that like do as much online meetings as you can. Yeah, I know. I travel.
Yes,
especially right now with everything is will be fine, I guess.
If you want to travel, even at this moment, you will find a way to do it.
Beautiful.
I traveled in September 2020 with airplane. It sounds incredible, but I did. I also had layovers, so I had to change planes. So like in usual times, if you want to travel, you will find a way to travel. But what my advice would be to startups, to those who are at the beginning of their business careers, whenever you earn some money, spend a huge part of it on travel, not only on I don't know, buying yourself a new car, or I don't know, investing all of it in your idea. Just take a couple of thousand of kunas and travel, whether it's business trip or fun trip. Just travel. I'm sure it will be beneficial for your business.
Amazing. That's what I want to hear. Like, just don't spend money just on business. Travel a little bit, and then
travel a little bit. It can also be spending on business if you travel.
It actually is. Your money. It is because like what you just said. Like traveling is like sharing your idea to the world, right? Yeah. And I think that the startups need to think about that as well in this global game of whole world, because if you are in fintech, if you're in any tech or even agri-tech, you maybe want to go to Africa right now and learn about that a little bit, what they're doing there, and combining that experience with traveling and learning about something that your startup is doing. Maybe you even make a business deal there which you wouldn't dream of doing because you didn't know that something's happening there, so I agree with you on that. So
every trip you came back home from will make you a bit more intelligent than you were before that trip. Trust me.
Beautiful. Thank you for all of this. Thank you for this call, for this little chit chat, and talking about everything that you were doing these 24 years in Bug, which is still amazing for me, right? It's beautiful that you have this kind of insight and knowledge, and that you can provide and share and advise people around yourself and people on these in these conferences and these shows that you're doing. Everything that you told about the of course Bug Future Show, which is coming up in a few days, and everything about Idea Knockout, we will post all those links there, so people please click on them, look at that, visit, because it's, especially if it's online, you don't need to travel to Croatia, which is a beautiful country. Come here anyway, spend some money, help us with BDP. I like to joke on that because people always oh, Croatia, I've been to Dubrovnik. Like, yeah, there's like whole country around Dubrovnik called
Yeah.
Croatia. So Game of Thrones fans visit all other things too. So you will have all these links that you can click on and check on. Dragan, thank you very much for this. Do you have anything else to say on this?
Thank you for inviting me.
Beautiful.
It was a pleasure talking to you, and I don't know, maybe somebody is still with us.
Yeah, maybe they didn't fall asleep or run away. Thank you. Goodbye. Bye.
Bye.